Hi friends, welcome back. So headline, Tesla's profit fell 45% in second quarter on weak EV sales and essentially not looking good for them. You can take a look at the stock here from top to where we are now, roughly 40% down from the top. If you want to include the after hours, another 4% onto that. So I'll call it over 40% down from the top. And also, Elon Musk is going to try to save the stock in the conference call, which is probably going on as recording of this video. We'll see what that is, and I'll do a separate video on that. But I just kind of want to go over some numbers and what's going on with Tesla stock. I can understand that people get emotional when you talk about these kind of things because you got money tied in this stuff. But guys, I put these out for you because I want you to know the truth about this stuff, because the Tesla pumpers will just tell you how awesome they are, etc. But this is the reality, right? Another headline, Tesla shares fall after fourth straight quarterly profit missed, right? They're just not making as much money. That's all it is. Tesla reports 7% drop in auto revenue as earnings fall short of Wall Street estimates. Now, one of the positive things for Tesla, though, is at least their energy is growing. I can see it. So that's the little yellow part there. So it's becoming a bigger part of their total revenues. But remember, too, that their auto revenues are down. You can service and others, you can see right there. And then there's their auto. So that's sort of like how you make up this. The other issue you have as well is that Tesla's largely overvalued. Depending on what metric you want to look at, I'll just give you a ballparker. Look at the PEG. You could argue, since you want your PEG around 1, you could argue that Tesla is either 9 times overvalued or 4 times overvalued. But I don't think these numbers are quite updated yet, so it could even be worse. It could be 10 times overvalued, depending on, again, which numbers you want to look at. Moreover, you can see this here. Tesla stock falls on disappointing earnings. There are positives, though. Yeah, they're trying to be nice, and I'll go through some of the positives at the end, as you guys go see. But you can see here, Tesla's operating profit margin rose slightly this quarter, but less than expected. So their margins used to be much better. They're around here now. And when you're talking about exactly where we're at, you can see here the expected was 61 cents per share. Talking about earnings, came in at 52, and then I guess a year ago it was 91, so it's definitely down. Operating margin, profit margin. It came in at 6.3. Wall Street was hoping for 8%. Free cash flow came in at 1.3 billion. Wall Street was hoping for 1.9 billion. So again, miss. If you want to take a look at, so historically compared to other times they've done earnings reports. So this blue thing here is the actual. The black is the kind of estimate of what Wall Street wanted. So what did it come in like? I think we said here, 52 cents. So that would put it right around there. So I'll just draw this little box here because it's not quite updated. But basically what we're saying here is that they're below estimate, okay? So definitely they made more money than before. I can see this right here, right? This is quarter 1, 2024, they made more money, but you are under what you made in 2023. You're under what you made in, you guys can see here, you're below what you were last year in terms of how much money you make. And also too, it looks like you're below in revenue. So you grew over last quarter, but you're below last year. So not great. Theoretically, this is down the line. Theoretically, you can go back to some growth in 2025, but then you're comparing the weak quarters from now. So, and the reason why I say, is that, assuming that competitors don't eat up even more market share of Tesla, because the competitors are looking pretty good, and I made a video on that recently, but just want to go over this stuff with you guys. Tesla misses Wall Street targets as price cuts and incentive ways, right? It should be obvious. If it's hard to sell your cars, you got to cut prices, or you got to give people 0% financing, etc. Essentially, you just don't make that much money on cars compared to what you used to make. It's a tougher environment, and so clearly your profits are going to go down. We kind of expected this stuff, but exactly how far down, who knows? And that's what we found out, 45%. That's what I said, who knows in terms of in the past, but these are the numbers. Again, Tesla, they're going to try to say, forget about numbers, just focus how awesome Elon is. The problem, though, regarding the awesomeness of Elon, he's been ticking off people in California, saying all kinds of things. And remember, he started there, basically convinced a bunch of Californians to buy his cars, particularly on the Democrat-leaning side, and by, essentially backing Trump, both all day, every day on Twitter, saying whatever he can to say bad things about Democrats and how much he loves Trump. It turns off people, right? It's just what it is. If your CEO is extremely active in politics and giving money, $45 million a month, it's going to happen, right? And so this is your largest customer base. Only 16% of them think that you're cool. Even if you look at Republicans, what do you think about Tesla here? 23%, something like that. So it's gonna eat in your bottom line if you're gonna be active. And I said several times, guys, he's free to do whatever he likes, but just that's what's gonna happen if you do that. California registrations are down. I think the numbers are like 24% or something like that. But third straight quarter in a row. And it's crazy because like I understand. Like I'll go through all the stuff, but if you're a Tesla bull, fanboy, fangirl, you just think it's all made up and mainstream media just lies all the time. That's what people think, and it's hard to really like talk about this because for me personally, if I'm gonna invest in a company or stuff like that, I actually do look at numbers. I actually do read the news on said company and not just try to promote a pyramid Ponzi / hopium scheme. That's essentially what this is at this point. That's why I kind of laugh. Will it go down to $14 per share? Well, some people think so. I don't know about that far. But if it were to, it would go bust, according to one investor. I can't remember the guy's name. It was a big one. That came out a couple months ago. The funny thing is, though, if you want to look at a different investor, the Kathy Wood, she's like, guys, Tesla stock's going to go up tenfold. I mean, look at those robotaxis, how much money they're going to make. That's literally what they're saying. And it's so crazy with the whole robotaxi stuff is like, and it's a serious question. How many of your friends are like, my life would be so much better if I just had robotaxis? do you have any friends that say that? Maybe, to be fair, maybe all your friends are Tesla stock pumpers and promoters, and maybe they say it all the time because they're down 40% in their stock and they think their life will be better with robotaxis. But I mean, the average person in the street, it's like, I don't think they're dreaming, oh my God, my life will be better. We'll have world peace. Everyone's going to be awesome if we have robotaxis. I don't see it. The other thing too I want to mention is for those of you who all believe in the robotaxis, this is the question I pose to you. How often do you take a taxi? Simple question. Where do you live? How often do you take a taxi? Because where I live in Busan. I also live in Seoul. I've lived in Tokyo. Lived in Beijing, etc. Lived in Shanghai. I've lived in New York City. I've lived in LA. And I mention these things because, like, depending on where you live, like humans in a taxi is actually fairly convenient. You just like wave out your hand. There's a taxi right there, and you hop in. That's how it works. Or say, for example, you come out the airport and there's a bunch of taxis just waiting there in a taxi line. That's how it works. It's a different world. If you don't live in that world, you don't understand. Moreover, the taxi driver can assist you with things, any number of things, right? Some people like to talk to the taxi driver for conversation. If you want to argue Uber, right, you say, hey, Chris, we have Uber that replaces taxis. It kind of does, but it just depends which market you're in. It's a different thing. But the idea that robotaxi will kick out all of these jobs and unemploy everybody and you're all going to make tons of money, I just think you got regulations to worry about. You have the politics of, again, you're going to cost people their jobs. You also have issues of who's going to clean the dang robotaxi. There's no driver in it. I'm sure people can do all kinds of crazy stuff in your robotaxi, make all kinds of crazy messes. And just imagine, people living in said thing, homeless people, any number of things. Like if you ever see those crazy videos on YouTube of what this crazy stuff that people do in Ubers with the driver in the car, just imagine what they're going to do to a robotaxi. So I do think that is a real thing. Not only is Kathy Wood trying to pump up robotaxi, on the side, secretly, she is selling Tesla stock. So she sold, I guess, 15 million. That was back earlier in July. And there's another report that just came out that she sold another 5 million of this stock that just came out today. She says one thing, does another. I understand you have to rebalance. I get that. But I'm just pointing this stuff out to you. I wouldn't necessarily expect Tesla robotaxis to save your company, but I understand. As long as you get people to believe the dream and enough people believe in it, which is essentially what a pyramid Ponzi is, it can work, but how much longer is the question as your earnings are nearly half. To be fair to Tesla, it's not just Tesla that's struggling. Their stock, GM stock was also down today. And there's a quote here: "Good times won't last." So not only do you have, over at Tesla, a CEO who's kind of turns off some people, turns on some people, to be fair, right? But is it enough people to, get them to buy the cars? According to the numbers, no. That their profits are down, and you're in an environment where, even other car companies are struggling a bit. Even GM is saying so. Also, dealers are getting people trying to buy a car by giving them incentives, etc. Right? So just the money isn't there. There's no other way to put it. So that's why it's weird, where you have to live this crazy fantasy that your Tesla stock's going to go to million, 2 million, $3 million a share, some stupid numbers that those pumpers tell you. Like it's a fantasy. I know it sounds fun and all, but it's just the reality, guys, that people aren't buying stuff. And more importantly, they're not going to be buying your Teslas. You look at China here, over there, luxury brands are struggling. That's a big market for Tesla, right? So, good luck with that. This is just the realities that we're in. And some people say, oh, well, Chris, you don't understand. When the economy turns around, Tesla's going to be awesome because everyone's going to buy a Tesla. Well, Tesla's already lost. You can see this in the USA. They're below 50% market share in the EVs in the USA. So that 49.7, that just came out from Cox. So they're losing market share. Guys, the competition's real. Also, too, which is crazy, and I mentioned this before, but it just is what it is. Musk has said, you know what? I'm totally going to back Trump. I'm all about Trump. Trump is awesome. And Trump is like, yo, EVs are the new green scam, even though Musk has given him, 45 a month. So that's the question. What does 45 million a month get you? So my opinion with the whole Trump thing, I think probably it could be get the feds off my back, right? Because, Musk is getting investigated for false advertising regarding FSD. Also, too, you're looking at any number of employment laws where you're not paying people, et cetera. Get the feds off my back, harassment laws, et cetera. That's what Musk gets into. And Trump can be sympathetic to, not paying employees and harassing people. They can get along that way. And someone made a joke of like, it's internet troll number 1 and internet troll number 2 teaming up. I'll let you guys decide which is number 1 and number 2. The other thing that's interesting about the Musk situation, he's got multiple companies. So in my opinion, I think the money is going to be going forward into AI or maybe into SpaceX, rockets and stuff like that. So maybe he's got a deal with Trump to like, hey, give me some government contracts for SpaceX or, loosen regulations on AI or whatever. So that's how I see going forward. And what's interesting about Tesla, they changed the language of their FSD. I think they refer to it as supervised now. It says we reduce the price. Okay, they reduced the price too. Reduce the price of FSD, and then they put a supervised sort of like parentheses on that. They tried to do a free trial to get people to sign up for said thing. There's so many problems with the FSD stuff in regards of like you want to charge people extra money to unlock features on your car. My opinion is just it should be included with the price of the car, but I understand, right? You're trying to make more money. I get that. The other thing is as well is like from my understanding of how it works, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If you buy the FSD for your car and you sell it to someone else, I don't think the FSD stays with the car. I think the new person is supposed to buy it the same way that if you buy FSD and then you trade in your Tesla and get another Tesla, I think you have to buy FSD again. I think that's how that stuff works. Yeah, again, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's how that works. Because another way you could think about it is I buy FSD, I subscribe to it, and then I can like move it to any platform that I want. But I think Tesla, the way they does it, they tie it to the car and tie it to the driver. So that's my understanding. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. The other thing too is they even mentioned here that they got to get robotaxis through regulatory approval. Good luck with that, guys. Good luck. They're level 2 driving. I mean, there's 5 levels to this thing. There are other car companies ahead of you, so I don't know what the Tesla bulls are smoking, but they're always smoking something, right? Total auto revenue is down 7%. The bulls are going to say, guys, but our revenue's up 2%. I mean, yeah, it is. I can see that, but your autos are down, and your profits are down. I mean, because essentially what they're doing is you're selling cars for less profit. That's what it is. So you may be getting cars at the door, but it's for less profit. Because here, it depends if you want to do GAAP or non-GAAP. So let's see here. EPS down 46. It's GAAP. EPS, earnings per share, that is. Non-GAAP down 43%. EBITDA down 23%. Income from operations down 30%, etc. Operating expenses are going up 39%. So, the one golden spot or bright spot would be the your energy generation and storage revenue is up 100%. So you doubled. It's good, but it's a small portion of what your company does. So it's a car company. I know that people get mad, but I'm just looking at numbers based on where your revenue comes from, and you're a car company. The other thing that's kind of interesting is your production is down on the 3 and the Y, 16%, and then you're making other vehicles, I guess, up 24%. You guys can see this stuff here. And then there was something here too where they have, their supply is up 13%. So I think that means you have, I think the way they say this is like it would take 18 days to sell this stuff or something like that. It says global vehicle inventory, days of supply 18, but it's higher than before. But I've heard this before that Tesla's having trouble selling cars, that they have, let alone, make new ones and sell those. Your Roadster, they say in development, next gen platform, whatever that's going to be in development. Semi, they say it's in the pilot, and then you're making these other vehicles. So no word on any robotaxi in here, other than what does next gen platform mean? Who knows, guys? It's Elon Musk and Tesla. Who knows? Really, hey, who knows? We'll wait for the call. And then they're going to brag about how awesome it is to get more miles driven on their FSD. I point this out several times. This is kind of a useless metric. Why do I say that? If all of your miles are freeway miles, right, on the highway, yes, you can claim you have a lot of miles and there's no accidents on the freeway, but it's not really that, how can I say, interesting or important, because miles themselves, if they're all on the freeway, do you guys understand what I'm saying? It's a less accident environment. So let's say, for example, if you divided up the statistic on, okay, we've been driving in the busiest part of New York City or in Shanghai or LA or in places where we think people might actually need a robotaxi, opposed to like, oh, we've been driving out in the middle of the rural area where no one's gonna use a robotaxi. For example, look at all the miles we got. Like it matters where you're being tested. So they like to downplay, what other companies do in, say, San Francisco. But I think it matters where you're testing said thing, and also to that report that came out where they're giving VIP support to the YouTubers to essentially show that they love FSD, etc. But they have a different experience than other regular users, because the engineers work more heavily on the YouTube drivers, and I've made a video on that. Regarding the other thing that was in the Tesla report, it says right here, this is the big one. It says here, plans for new vehicles, including more affordable models, so they mention it, remain on track for start of production in the first half of 2025. So they say next year, 2025, there's going to be some sort of affordable model, whatever that means. We'll see. And I'm sure Musk will say something, and we'll see how the stock responds. They'll say, hey guys, we're doing awesome. And then it gets to that point, and then they'll say, oh, sorry, we have to delay it again, etc. So we'll see. These vehicles will utilize aspects of next-gen platform as well as our current platforms, and were produced on the same manufacturing lines as our current vehicle lineup. Okay, so they call it a next-gen platform, but I guess it has aspects of our current platform, and it's going to use the same manufacturing line. So I don't think it's going to be that different than what they have now. At least how I read this, but you can this is the key one right here. But you can read it however you want to read it, right? So the bulls will say, "Oh, look how awesome it is! They're innovating." They always say the same stuff. They're innovating, etc. And they're going to use this unboxed manufacturing strategy. How awesome they're going to be, guys! This is all about pumping the stock. That's all it is. And I guess they're trying to push you. This is the Tesla's words. This approach will result in achieving less cost reduction than previously expected. Oh, less cost reduction. So that means cars are gonna go up in cost, I guess is how you read that. But it enables us to prudently grow our vehicle in volumes in a more capex efficient manner during certain uncertain times. This should help us fully utilize our current expected maximum capacity of close to 3 million vehicles. So that's the max that they can, I guess, make now is 3 million vehicles. My understanding is they deliver 2 million, 1.8, 2 million a year, something like that. So they don't even do all of their factories. And then it says here, enabling more than 50% growth over 2023 production before investing in new manufacturing lines. Okay. So they're going to try to argue growth with robotaxis, robots, and maybe new vehicle platform. I'll just say this, guys. Watch my video if you haven't seen already. I go over, we were at the car show here in Busan. So you can see what Hyundai, Kia, BMW, Genesis, what they're up to. Genesis is part of, I think it's Hyundai, yeah. And then, I mean, you can see for yourself that these new EVs are going to be pretty good. And then when I get a chance to see BYD, I'll do that. I haven't seen one yet, but I've heard that they are in other countries. Just they haven't come to Korea quite yet. They'll be here soon, though. And then Tesla's going to be like, and Elon Musk, I made a separate video, but he tweeted out that the robot's going to be used at the Tesla car company next year. That's just according to Elon. And then 2 years, he's saying we can make robots in high production for other companies, is what he says. And no, I didn't see it in any date yet on when the robotaxi is going to be announced, and I didn't see any pictures of the robotaxi. This is just a concept. I think this comes from the book, I believe, but not anything recent. So that's what's up with Tesla earnings. Love to hear your thoughts. When we get the word of Elon as it comes out, whatever he's going to say and answer questions, I'll do a separate video on that. I'm sure it'll be the same song and dance as before, but I want to go over earnings with you guys. Tesla earnings are down. You can see it for yourself. So thanks again for watching, and catch you next video.